as the Gotham War continues to rage, friends will become enemies and enemies will become friends. But who will end up on top, Catwoman or Batman? Well, let's hop into the pages of Batman issue number 137 and find out together, shall we? So then, as we join the book, we check back on in with two of Selina Kyle's brand new former henchmen acolytes pulling off another daring big money heist. I particularly enjoy that their fake air conditioning company that they've come up with is called Fire and Ice. Their newest Robin Hood style plan probably would have gone off without a hitch too if it wasn't for Batman waiting in the shadows to enact his own Zorro brand of justice. He still tore up about Roland, the henchman who was murdered at the end of the last issue in a botched robbery. And as such, Batman vows to take out his rage on Catwoman's entire network. And yes, if you're thinking it's a little hypocritical that to avenge a dead henchman and make sure that there are no more deaths, Batman is going to beat up a lot of people in one night, well, he's kind of supposed to be a little hypocritical. The idea here is that Batman has been up for days on end after waking up from a coma, and he's also feeling the residual psychic effects of the Batman of Zur-En-Augh messing with his mind and trying to exert more and more control over his body. What this basically ends up meaning is that the Dark Knight is on a one-man rampage tearing through the entire city, locking up members of Catwoman's inner circle, including Fright, a woman who can spit fear toxin and who used to number 2 for the Scarecrow. Word makes it back to Selina and her number 2 Marquise that Batman was doing all of this while laughing like a madman, and I mean, really, any situation where Batman laughs is certainly not good for anyone. Still though, Selina has one hell of a trump card up her sleeve though, and that is Jason Todd, one of the former Robins and current Red Hood, who is actively working as a double agent for her inside the Bat family. And hey, speaking of the Bat family, how do they feel basically being stuck between a marital dispute that's being had between Bruce and Selina right now? Not great at all. Tim comes to Batman and tries to get him to calm down and maybe sleep it off, but he's not having any of it. In fact, he lays into Robin going, "Oh look, another one of my ungrateful little sidekicks. You gonna come and tell me again what crimes are worth punishing? Did you have fun on your weekend trip with your cat mom?" Yeah, you know what, I said it in the previous video, but it bears repeating. This is basically Marvel's Civil War, but done with the Bat family, and the whole thing feels equally as uncomfortable at times. With all your favorite heroes needing to tear strips out of each other and be dickheads as to justify and further the drama. It is a little interesting though to see the Bat family be as torn as they are. It's true, crime statistics are down in Gotham right now. Yeah, admittedly Catwoman turned all minor larceny crimes into grand larceny crimes, but hey, it's not like the cops were doing much to stop purse snatchers and muggers and strong-armed robbers outside of just writing up reports, which is probably why those crimes do make up such a big statistic like they do. Moreover than that, Selina has basically crippled the entire supervillain community, and with no supercrime to fight, the Bat family is starting to wonder what the hell are they even doing putting on their costumes and going out at night in Gotham. They feel kinda useless, which is a rare position to see them in. The entire family is also shocked too by how strong Jason feels about all of this, saying that Batman, despite his best efforts, has only ever really contributed to more recidivism. Hell, most of the henchmen he's been beating up in this story, he knows them by name. They know them by name because they've been beating them up for years because nothing ever really changes in Gotham. Now, admittedly, a lot of that isn't so much Batman's fault as it is a problem with sequential media, but hey, I don't know if we're ready to have that conversation just yet. We also briefly get to check in with some of the bigger players in the Gotham underworld. Needless to say, they're all totally pissed off that they don't have their henchmen to carry their bags anymore. And believe it or not, being a colorful supervillain in a major metropolitan city is actually a little untenable when you don't have a legion of hired goons doing your bidding and setting shit up for you. Which of course to me at least begs the question, couldn't they have the best of both worlds? Couldn't Selina and her people continue to do their Robin Hood stuff, stealing from people who are insured, while Batman uses this extra time to mop up all the colorful supervillains? Yeah, I guess if they did that, the story would be over, right? Now eventually Batman is no longer content just mopping up Selina's inner circle, and he decides to take the fight directly to her own front door, blowing up her little crime classroom, before eventually going to work on all of her students. In his internal monologue, he does say that he is occasionally torn about having to beat up the same goons over and over again, and he always wishes they could change, but perhaps somewhere deep down in his heart of hearts, he fears that they never will. Again, it's hard to tell if that's Bruce talking or if that's the Batman of Zur-En-Augh talking. It's here Red Hood ends up swooping in to fight Batman, doing his part to slow the Dark Knight down while Selina regroups. And oh boy, you can just tell that Jason has been sitting on this monologue for a while, waiting to let his adoptive father have it with both barrels. Oh geez, Batman, you know, who died and made you the arbiter of what's right and wrong? I swear you never grew up after your parents died. You have the black and white morality of a 10-year-old. You really think you personally could put a stop to crime forever in Gotham? Of course not. Crime is part of human nature just as much as greed is. Also, what's so different with Selina taking in these criminals off the street and trying to train them to be better when compared to you taking in all the Robins off the street and training them to be better? Batman, always one to get the last word in, fires back by saying that he did take in all the Robins to try and make them better people, while Selina is just making these henchmen better criminals. It's at that point Nightwing and the rest of the Bat family show up and try and de-escalate this fight between their surrogate father and brother, which mostly ends up meaning they too get involved in the fight and all get dispatched one by Batman. Also, hey Dick, I noticed you were pretty quiet during all those moral and philosophical debates about haves and have-nots. Aren't you a multi-billionaire now? Haven't you actually made great strides in your own book and in your own city? Using your fortune to create social safety nets and repair a broken system? Yeah, I know Gotham and Bloodhaven aren't one-to-one the same, but just kinda funny that you're quiet on this one. It's during the fight too, Batman actually ends up making use of his brand new robot hand. Apparently it shoots smoke. There's also something kind of hilarious about the fact that this Batman is becoming unhinged and acting more like Frank Miller Batman, and the robot hand was literally a gift from Frank Miller Batman. You also might be noticing that even though most of the Bat family is fighting to try and pacify Bruce and not actually take a side in this big Gotham War just yet, there's one member who actually hasn't gotten involved yet, and that's Damian Wayne Robin, who swoops on in and actually saves his father from Red Hood and the rest of the family. Yeah, I guess Damian always has to be slavishly, cultishly devoted to one parent, huh? And I suppose whether he's a hero, a villain, or an anti-hero, Damian's worldview has also always been very black and white, hasn't it? Batman returns to the brownstone to lick his wounds, probably the first time he's actually sat down and taken a breath in days. When the severity of what he's done finally starts to set in, wait a minute, I attacked Selina at her home. Oh my god, I fought with my own adopted children. What the hell am I doing? What the hell am I becoming? At least things can't get any worse, right? And at that very moment, Bruce ends up getting told that his bank just sold stately Wayne Manor. Yeah, apparently with the 8-week coma, traveling the multiverse, and the city getting taken over by killer failsafe robots. Along with Alfred being dead as long as he has been, no one's actually been watching Bruce's financials. Meaning that some mystery person has managed to swoop on in and buy Batman's childhood home. Naturally, Bruce jumps to the conclusion that this must also be the work of Selina, trying to hurt him all over again, though we as the reader know that's not true because Catwoman is actually busy busting out her inner circle from jail, making this the second time she's actually broken them out, by the way. By the time Batman actually does make it back to the cave, he's at his absolute lowest. Zur-En-Arrh is yelling in his ear, and he feels like he truly might have lost everything. But who exactly would want to buy Wayne Manor? Well, the answer might surprise you, as the buyer is revealed to be none other than a mortal caveman supervillain, Vandal Savage. Also, after getting the keys, he was sure to go through Batman's shit, so yes, he is 100% certain that Bruce and Batman are the same person as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Batman issue number 137, everybody, and overall I thought, much like the Battle Lines issue, this one was kind of a mixed bag, though one where I actually felt the latter half was a lot stronger than the beginning. I stand by what I said before in that these superhero Civil War stories usually never live up to the hype or even their own lofty aspirations. Usually they throw out some pretty good moral conundrums for the reader and the characters to grapple with, but usually they end up coming short, and usually they have to force the issue by, like I said, having the characters act out of character, though it wasn't nearly as bad in this issue. It was kind of fun to see an enraged Batman actually dismantle all the hard work that Catwoman had done in basically just a night. And now with the addition of Vandal Savage into a Batman story, the stakes have most certainly been raised, and it looks like this story is going to be dealing with a lot more than just a simple relationship spat masquerading as an ethical divide between Batman and Catwoman. There's more stuff at play here, and I'm glad for that. Credit where credit is due, this issue also looks a lot better than the Battle Lines issue as well. Overall, I'd actually give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I think Gotham War might actually have a chance to surprise us all yet, and I hope it does. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.